Painkiller Ghosts, Chapter 26, Part 1 of 2, Unemployment, Photographs, and Home Remedy Painkillers. Now it's the next morning, and this is how it is. Tom's awake. He's in the kitchen, hunched over the sink with an empty coffee cup in his good hand, and he's watching the steam rise out of the sink. It takes longer to steam up now in the fall with the pipes under the old house getting cold at night. He finally lifts the empty coffee mug to water and fills it. He turns the water off, places the mug on the counter, and tosses a tea bag in. Then he opens the microwave, places the mug inside, hits 1 minute and 12 seconds, slams the door shut, hits start, and he stares into the microwave. He already smells like pot. His fingers stink of it. He takes the mug out, stirs it, blows on it, and extracts his tea bag, then throws in 2 parts of smashed painkillers. He stirs the tea again, stares out the kitchen window for 3 minutes, maybe 4, then blows on the tea and takes a taste. The tea takes away the painkillers' taste. He likes tea. He takes a second sip, then a third. It's time to smoke again. Tea and herbs. Those are his home remedies. He smiles about that. He smiles thinking about his photographs, his unemployment, and his painkillers. He doesn't have to worry about money too much. Suzanne doesn't make him pay rent or pay part of the bills. He doesn't drive, doesn't even have a license right now, so he doesn't care whether barrels of oil are trading for $50 or $150. He doesn't eat out. He knows how to throw a meal together for cheap. Now, it's going to be near the end of the homegrown weed, maybe another week's worth, maybe less. It was worth it while it lasted, and he thought when he runs out, he'll be able to actually read a book and not lose interest after reading 1 page 2 times. And he only had a few days left of pain pills, though he was sure he had some left over in another container somewhere in the kitchen or maybe in the computer room. He wasn't smiling, knowing that in a few days he'd be out of his home remedy painkillers and left with only photography and unemployment. He cocks his ears and listens for those ghostly dog tags jingling, but he doesn't hear them. So, stoned, he walks over to the front door, opens it, and whistles. But he doesn't hear anything, but a woman jogging by looks at him, scowls, flicks him off, and then jogs on. Time shakes his head and whistles again, saying, "Here, boy." It's starting out as a gray morning. It hasn't actually rained today, just some haze, some small water drips just like hanging in the air. Suzanne is drinking her tea. She's been busy recently, driving around from here to there and driving fast to one thing, and then she'll jump in her car, zoom off, past the policeman on the corner, the one who's watched her speed by him for years and years and never stopped her. She is volunteering with a homeless shelter. She works in the clothes closet. She works in the kitchen. She sits in the big room with all the other cops and just talks to the people. She hands out dollar bills to people from her own account. She figures she's okay. She may be out of a job, but she's okay. She has the house. She paid that off a few years ago ahead of time. She has some stocks, even though they were worth more a few years ago. Some government bonds. She keeps her cash in 3 banks. And then she's off to see some developer. She's writing a piece on building renovation for a local monthly print magazine. She was hoping to get all this done on a sunny day. Suzanne likes her dreary days to herself. She likes to turn up the radio and speed alone faster on turns on days like this. Her tea's done. She's done watching the cable news. It started to repeat itself. She finished her hemp brand blueberry muffin. She throws a paperback book into her bag she's taking with her. She never leaves home without a book. She's a little nervous, a little anxious. She can't tell if it's because she took some of Tom's pills last night to make her sleep better, and this is residual, but she swears that she's been blowing on tea. She thinks she saw Stan Thimble drive by her house. She talks to Tom at the far end of the room, alternating between drawing on a legal pad and staring out the front window. Now he's in the staring part, The pencil hovers above the paper. Time? Yes, Mama. He doesn't look her direction. Did you see that car that went by? Twice? The red one? The red one. That's the third time it went by, Mama. I was outside earlier and saw it. Suzanne nods. I think it's that demented tow rag's car. You know the one. I know the one, Mama. She thinks about the can of pepper spray in her bag. She thinks about setting those photos on fire. She looks down at her shoes. She thinks about kicking Stan Thimble. She takes her mug of tea to the sink, turns on the cold water and fills it, then turns off the water and turns around. Well, Time, I guess I should be going. I'll walk out with you. No, I'll be okay. She smiles over at Time, who is still not looking at her, but now drawing, as she says, have a good morning, Van Gogh, sweetie. Don't worry, Mama. What's that, Time? Don't worry, Mama. He'll get his one day. She looks at him, nods, and then she's out the door and on the sidewalk and looks both ways and doesn't see the red car anywhere, and she gets in her own car, turns on the engine, and takes off as fast as she can with her tires squealing. Stan had driven by. He'd driven by more often than Suzanne knew, although Time realizes now that he did recognize the car and that he had seen it more than he told Suzanne about. He just never knew whose car it was until now. Stan drives by and looks at the windows of Suzanne's house. He wishes he could drive by and see the kitchen counter through the windows, but that's in the back of the house. He takes photos of the house with his cell phone. He's at the point now where he thinks nothing about it. He'll drive by 5 times in one day and point and click and drive off. He loves those sights, those photos of Suzanne in her kitchen, Aaron in his kitchen, and of Chastity, although he doesn't know her name. He decides to drive by one more time. He doesn't know that Suzanne has just sped off the other direction. He turns the car around and drives by to pass by the Exler house just one more time.